Necromancer that doesn't know they are a necromancer and thinks they are just a really good EMT. That is the funniest thing I have ever read. Every machine is a smoke machine. If you operate it wrong enough, I'm gonna show this to my production manager and watch her head explode. So the earth goes around the sun and every 4 years it does it wrong? That's not comforting. This is my favorite leap year quote. Reblogging in honor of me realizing it's a leap year. To create the battles for Lord of the Rings, V210 used a program called Massive and was able to create thousands of CG soldiers, give them artificial intelligence, talents, and skills, then just let them fight. The AI worked so well that some of the soldiers assessed the battle and fled. Artificial cowardice. In case of implosion, look directly at implosion. Valve actually put that sign in game because playtesters would destroy the generator and then turn around immediately and not see the implosion animation they'd worked so hard on. I miss Valve so fucking much, bro. Millennials killing cable. Okay, so here's the thing. I've got a student Prime account and Netflix comes to about $15.91 a month. If I added the commercial free version of Hulu, it would come to $27.90 a month. Basic cable before internet is $64.99 a month, which includes commercials and infomercials. About a quarter of all television is commercials, which is about $16.25 a month. To have someone selling to you, explain how it's my and my generation's fault that we are not falling for the same scam our parents are. Cable killing itself by not adapting to the market. Not to mention, millennials are too busy working 50 hours a week to not make ends meet and don't have time for your shitty reality TV garbage. I wore this to school today. Yeah, pretty cute. But then after school, when I was doing my chores, my parents started calling me Fraulein, and I was confused as to why. But then I realized. When a person dies and no one will miss them, the mourning is assigned to a random human. This is why you sometimes just feel sad. From now on, if anyone asks me why I'm randomly sad, instead of saying I don't know or something, I'm going to look them dead straight in the eyes and say, I've been assigned to mourn the death of a stranger, and just walk away. Birds are truly the epitome of self-care. Do you see how much time they spend grooming themselves? How many times a day they go get snacks? How often they scream at nothing, just to let out an emotion we cannot understand? Inspiring. If you put a milkshake in one yard and crack a cold one in another yard, which yard would the boys go to? Scrottina's boys. What about cracking open a cold milkshake? As we all know, the milkshake brings the boys to the yard. The presence of the boys is a prerequisite for the cracking open of a cold one, but cold ones do not have any inherent boy attracting abilities. Milkshakes, however, do. All else being equal, the boys would proceed to the milkshake yard. While it is possible to announce the presence of cold ones in the hope of attracting some boys, the pull of the milkshake is much more powerful by comparison. Mind you, all of this nonsense hinges on whether or not the boys are back in town. Cryptids of opposing powers. Egg and leg. I've had this smiley face balloon for 4 years because it won't deflate and I feel bad popping it. It's smug or mocks me. You. Satan's friendly form. Good idea. Marry a blacksmith so you can get free swords whenever. Better idea. Become a miner and then marry a blacksmith so he can have the required materials for you to get free swords whenever. Make a harem and marry a full production chain. Mana polygamy. 69% of young millennials use at least one form of video piracy. Of that group, a whopping 60% are streaming content without paying for it. These streaming millennial criminals, or what we call streaminals, watch what they want, when they want, where they want, and they don't pay for it. A mummy who broke out of his sarcophagus wrote this. Reblog if you're a streaminal. You've been hit by. You've been struck by. A smooth criminal. 69%. Nice. I'm so embarrassed that only 31% of us have the good sense to lie when someone asks if we've committed a crime. In contrast to Star Trek, the more I learn about the Star Wars universe, the more I wish I hadn't. Every new tidbit of information feels like the franchise spiraling further out of my reach. It's like world unbuilding. Hohus Runtekwesh. Are you familiar with Hohus? Revealing in the 29 Abbey section that, dying by amphistaff venom, his friend, Piggy, performed a mercy kill on him by shooting him at point blank range. Pull the trigger, Piggy, Hohus. I just remembered one time in kindergarten. I punched this girl I knew because we were drawing birds and she drew her bad with a human nose and mouth, and it pissed me off so badly I went into like berserker mode. It looked like this. I was about to lose my V card the other night when the guy asked, "Are you ready?" And I answered, "Aye Captain." Needless to say, I'm still a virgin. If he didn't respond with "I can't hear you," then he is not worth having sex with. Remember that time Ash almost straight up got gunned down playing Pokemon Go in Texas? I don't care what Oak says, this is my favorite picture I have taken in Pokemon Snap. Same energy. Rom-coms. Romantic communists. More than comrades. Delete this. There's this thing about privilege. I just got home from a job interview, which mainly consisted of looking at my CV and asking me when I can start. The fridge factory is in a serious need of industrial workers again, and all they needed to see was my long contract with my current employer to figure that I surely have experience and a consistent work history, no gaps in my employment history. And I don't have gaps in my employment history. I was hired to my first job from the first job interview I ever went into because I was clean cut and punctual, and I worked like a dog and kept working like a dog. My temporary contract was renewed twice before I got a permanent contract. And I did that. I worked hard for it on my own. But I got the job because I'm able-bodied. I pass for neurotypical well enough to be charming in a job interview. I got to the job interview because my family could afford a car and mom could afford to borrow it. I was mentally and physically healthy enough to push myself through until I had a stable contract. Finland has strong workers unions. Top-notch healthcare. When I started losing grasp at work, I didn't just get fired. They understood outright it was mental illness. I got sick leave, a doctor's note, some rest, and I could get back to work, and work as well, and hard as ever. When you've never had to think about privilege, it's easy to get defensive, as a knee-jerk reaction. It's easy to say, I've worked hard for what I have, like that is all it takes. Having privilege doesn't mean things just get handed to you. It's about not having the things you worked for taken from your hands. Time traveler. What's going on? Egyptian. We're looking for water, 'cause the whole Nile's turned into blood. Time traveler. Oh. The 10 plagues have started. Egyptian. The what? Fun fact. Water actually turns blood red when it is contaminated by sulfur, creating sulfuric acid. And scientists have discovered that around the time of the plagues a volcano went off that disturbed Egypt's environment. So the plagues are scientifically proven. The other parts of the plagues are explained by the sulfuric acid river, making the animals leave the river and escaping into the human population. Why didn't anyone tell me the plagues were proven? If anyone wants a full list, here's how they happened. Basically, they all stem from a massive eruption of a volcano on the island of Santorini off the coast of Greece. The ash then floated over to Egypt, which kickstarted the plagues. 1. Blood. The ash carried the mineral cinnabar, which has the capability of turning water red. 2. Frogs. The ash also had many toxic and acidic substances, so naturally, all the frogs are gonna flee the river. 3. Lice. Given what was going on, insects would have burrowed into dead animals/people's skin and laid eggs, which then hatched. 4. Beasts. Everything is getting poisoned from the ash and toxins, causing animals to freak the F out / die. 5. Pestilence. Toxins again. 6. Boils. The ash would have caused storms that carried acid rain, which when it fell, would irritate people's skin, causing boils. 7. Hail. The storm again. 8. Locusts. Again with the insects and the amount of dead bodies and such which attract more insects. A lot of insects basically. 9. Darkness. The ash covered the sky, blocking out the sun. 10. Slaying of the firstborn. Given that children's bodies were found in higher numbers than others, some archaeologists think they may have been sacrificed to stop all the destruction, but they aren't 100% sure about that. This is just me, but I would say another possibility is that babies / kids are a lot more susceptible to toxins and so while an adult may have been fine or gotten a bit sick, it might have been very dangerous / deadly for kids or babies. The volcano would also attest for the parting of the sea. Weirdly enough, the Red Sea was in fact the Reed Sea and was very shallow, probably waist deep or so. Given the amount of dumped into the ocean from the volcano, this would caused a tsunami to head towards Egypt. The water would get sucked out from the Reed Sea right before the tsunami hit, letting people pass it easily. Then the actual tsunami would hit, fucking up anyone who tried to follow. Another theory is that the red water was caused by algae, which would cause the frogs and stuff to jump out as well. The algae also carried substances toxic to animals, so if they ingested any they'd get sick and die, so more insects. In this theory there was a sandstorm coincidentally that caused the rest. The volcano wasn't on Santorini, it was Santorini, then called Thera. It completely blew away the Minoan settlements on the island, and was one of the largest eruptions in human history. The tsunamis from the Theran eruption devastated Crete, weakening the then powerful Minoan civilization, leaving them open to being invaded by the Mycenaeans. The volcanic winter it created devastated crops in China, leading to the fall of the Xia dynasty. The abrupt and catastrophic loss of the people of Thera may have also inspired the myths about Atlantis. Ike, the firstborn child thing was suggested to be because of a contamination in grain stores. The firstborn child was served food first, and got fed from the top couple inches of stored grain, the toxic part. The rest of the families got grain from lower down, where the contamination hasn't spread yet. I'm a guidance counselor / psychologist for teenagers, and it's getting really hard to motivate young people to work for a future they don't believe in. They look at their future and see global warming, World War III, unemployment, political instability, poison in everything they eat, the earth and animals dying all around them. I saw this video where someone was asking French teens in the 50s how they imagined the future would be. The war hadn't been over for long, and yet it was all positive with like peace and flying cars and such. Then they went and asked the same questions to nowadays teens, and hell, that was depressing. Some still had hope, but it was just that, well, I hope I'll have a nice house and maybe some kid, but there was such a hesitancy to it, like they didn't dare to hope too much. People mock Greta Thunberg, but what they don't get is that when she said you stole my dreams, it was the truth. And I will try to fix you. Sometimes the app f up so beautifully. Tumblr mobile made-ish post.